mention most of the problem, because most of the electorate, even the 18% he mentioned, most of them are not really the allies and the educated ones. They are just the ones that they are forefathers, they are whatever, they are what would I call it? They are godfather. They just selected some very, very few people. Now, when I look at the case of Nigeria, in all honesty, it just reminds me of a game we used to play then, like one game of football that we call OGO. In that OGO, somebody tosses off the ball, and then we can't OGO, we start the ball. Now, the peculiar thing about the team to Nigeria scenario is this: some people must play in the football, not because, for example, the owner of the ball must play, because just like in Nigeria, some people just believe this country belongs to them, and they must take part in anything that is happening. Then we have the powerful people. Those ones, they don't have any skill. But if you don't take them, the match cannot work. Just like we can liken those to the military. You know, they are still really not, either we like it or not. Then I can go on and on, but of specific interest here is the number one, the goalkeeper. Most of the time, people will just say, okay, we put it in the hand of God because everybody wants to top strike. That is exactly what is happening in Nigeria now. We are just on autopilot. Take it or leave it. As I'm concerned, you can just put anybody there, put a dummy there. It's an autopilot thing, because I am not seeing any proactiveness being displayed, whatever, in the way we are being ruled. I think the solution to this, my solution to this is this. Hello?
Yes, we're listening.
My solution to this problem is that the intellectuals must wake up. There's this saying that they say that if the intellectuals fail to amalgamate the dichotomy of interest in our society, major cast will worsen the situation. That's what is playing out now in Nigeria. If the intellectuals can gather together and say, okay, let us present one candidate. We can't start from the presidency, because I've seen a whole lot of good people, but they want to go for presidency. Let's start from state. Let's take a small state, for example, because Lagos will take might take up to 50 years, because from the thing that is going on there. But if the intellectuals make up their mind to really participate, things will work out. Because we've seen intellectuals running some of our banking industry, and things are going on fine. We've seen them in private enterprises, things are going on fine. And then if we get to a state that nobody will just come out and say we want to see your pedigree. You can't say you want to manage GT Bank, for example, without having pedigree.
For the sake of time, we have so many questions to go through, and that I love your two answers, the Prince and Honorable Mr. Jimmy Agbaji. However, can I ask both of you, before we go to the next question, can I ask both of you that, yes, our distinguished Mr. Jimmy Agbaji said that the people have not been shortchanged, that they've shortchanged themselves. Now, could it be that the powerful, rich few have hijacked the First Republic model of political parties, where people could contribute money, unlike now, where big money is introduced into the parties and the common grassroots folks don't have any say in the party? Is that what has happened? Big money has been pumped in, and the regulars have no say whatsoever in the party, rather than saying that the regulars have shortchanged themselves.
Well, you want me to answer that?
Yes, sir, with all pleasure.
Let me put it like this. There's a limit to what money can play.
Yes, that's true.
And you see, a man invests a lot of money for selfish reasons most of the time. If he realizes that his investment will not get him the desired selfish results, because the people insist that this is the way they're going, he will no longer be encouraged to invest such monies.
True.
I don't know if you get my point. Now, and if you look around, even in our country, where the few times that the people have stood up against the political class on issues they feel very strongly about, the political class will always withdraw and accept the wish of the people. But most of the time, we're very docile. You know, it's like it's somebody else's problem, not mine to solve. I don't like it, but it's not for me to solve. I mean, yeah, we can compare. Look at America, what has happened. People woke up and said, enough is enough. And you can see the political class, you know, coming back, withdrawing from their stock positions. And it has happened in Nigeria. So I think that's the real issue, that money will play a role for as long as the people allow it to play such a role. So it's not the politicians. You see, the political class, many will go for selfish reasons. But the people, the sovereignty, where that power lies, can make it uninteresting for them.
That's right.
If tomorrow we say we do not want any member of the National Assembly to use our money to buy SUVs, as a people, they will not buy SUVs again.
Yes, but because
some of them will no longer find it interesting to go to the National Assembly because they cannot get the kind of thing they want. So it's us, it's the people. That's it.
I think your point is quite clear. And for Prince Olukoku, thank you very much for offering that solution of our intellectuals. You're quite right. I think there's a docile attitude in Nigeria regarding what our Honorable Jimmy Abadi has just said. So I think part of the solutions, like you said, is to actually have our intellectuals wake up. We need to wake up. So let's move to the next question before time flies before us. The next question is constitutional breaches. And the intro reads, a monumental challenge to our democracy is the imminent threat to the fundamental rights of the citizenry during political campaign and post-election. Did you hear that, all of you?
Yes.
All right. Now the question is, to what extent does this phenomenon constitute a threat to Nigeria's democratic values, and what are the solutions to this threat? The question goes to Mr. ABANG, MKPANDIOK, if he's in the house. The barrister.
I'm in the house.
Oh, good. Do you want me to repeat the question, or you heard it?
Maybe you can repeat for others. I've gotten the question.
I'll repeat it again. Oh, well, I'll do the intro first and then the question. The intro is, a monumental challenge to our democracy is the imminent threat to the fundamental rights of the citizenry during political campaigns and post-elections. Now, the question is, to what extent does this phenomenon constitute a threat to Nigeria's democratic values, and what are the solutions to this threat?
Good afternoon, all.
Yes, good afternoon.
I want to look at this issue. When you talk of fundamental rights, you know how important the fundamental rights are. That's why they are entrenched in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic.
Indeed.
And when you talk about the political gathering, you find out that Section 40 of the Constitution provides for the right to peaceful assembly, as well as association of people. And also Section 41 also provides for the right to freedom of movement. But you find out that this right is well entrenched in the Constitution. So during campaign, people move about. The government or the political parties may have their different way of trying to restrict people. But you find out that in Nigerian political setup, when campaign comes up, everybody attend the campaign ground.
Yes.
You find out that almost 90% of people who attended APC campaign rally, they will also attend PDP campaign rally. And so their right for movement is actually not restricted in that sense of the word.
Yes. Yes.
Then the same way, the right to assembly is allowed. You can assemble, you can form political party as provided in Section 40. But like stated by the discussant on question 1, you find out that because of the money needed and the way that this thing ought to go, some of these things cannot be done properly because you need money to run political parties. And so at the end of the day, people who have money will hijack the party and bring money and push it on. So because they bring this money, when you, in fact, in some areas in Nigeria, you go and introduce yourself and tell them you believe in an ideology of any political party, they will laugh at you. They will tell you that if it's not APC or PDP, then you are wasting your time. Now, if you now look at that, so prior to campaign, it's not a big issue. Where we really have problem is after campaign.
Yes.
When the government is post-campaign, when the government is installed, and something happens, the electorate are not happy. You now find out that the same government that relied on the people is now the one saying you cannot peacefully protest. You cannot express what you do not like.
So
find out that
let me just cut you short there, if you permit me. So that means what the Right Honorable Yomi Gidado was saying is absolutely correct. That it's we've not been shortchanged. It's the people themselves who are dormant. They're the ones who allow these things to happen. Would you agree with that?
I agree with him 101%. I even want to say that the candidate was even saying 18% of Lagos. The number is not up to 18% because if Lagos has 20 million population, Lagos has 20 million population, 6 million registered, but 1-point-something million votes. The last election, look at the statistics, 1-point-something million participated out of 20 million. Even 6 million are registered. So about almost 5 million start back at home. That's why when we to further support what he said, if you listen to what the governor of Kaduna said, El Rufai, he said if he comes to Lagos, he will break Godfatherism in Lagos. Because he will find out why do 4-point-something million people don't come out to vote. Why is it that only 1-point-something come out to vote?
Came out. Okay, your point
doing?
is taken for the sake of time.
So let me go back to my point. Yeah. Yes.
So you have a few seconds.
But the laws of Nigeria are made it clear. You have the right to movement, to protest. Yes. You don't need police permit to go on peaceful demonstration if the government do something you don't like. So these things are well stated. The court have declared in many cases. Yeah, the court have, what I'm saying is that the court have declared you don't need police permission to go on the street if the government is doing what you do not like. You go and express that is your right.
Thank you,
the function, and you have to exercise it.
We appreciate your legal knowledge to all this. The next participant to this question is Professor Fatima Lawal. I hope she's available. Professor Lawal. Do you have anything different? Or
yes, I'm available. Yes.
Oh, good.
I quite agree with my learned colleague.
Good.
On the issue of fundamental human rights. He has actually quoted some chapters of the Constitution, the 1999 Constitution, like chapter 4, Section 40, Section 41, on the right to movements and peaceful assembly. I quite agree with you, but at the same time, you will agree with me that democracy is not it is only when the rich and those in his power that we often take democracy seriously. But when it involves citizens, we often forget what democracy really means. Although our Honorable Yomi Gidado has said that people are being used, they allow themselves to be used. It is true. And there are many factors that are responsible for this, why people are being used. I will later come up with those factors that are responsible for people not to be able to take this on their own. The politicians, you will see that candidates, when they are seeking for political offices in Nigeria, don't make promises to people. They will tell people, we are going to do this, we are going to do this for you, we are going to do this or that for you. These are empty promises. They give them empty promises in order for the people to be able to vote for them. And these candidates that are promising, they don't know the rudiments required to deliver on such campaign promises. A lot of these candidates are often not conscious or aware of what promises are all about. They are so desperate in order to get to the power. So they will, at any point in time, give empty promises, or they know that they will not be able to fulfill.
Thank you. In fact, you
so there are many factors. There are lots of factors that not just pose a threat in pre and post election campaign promises. We have the issue of the money lenders, the greed of the people, the economic deprivation, and that is why people are being used. That is why people are being allowed to be used, just like what our Honorable Yomi Gidado has said, and my learned colleague as well. The education, the exposure, a lot of things are being combined together. Why democracy will not be actually practiced in the country.
Well presented. I think all of you have hit the nail on the head. And for the sake of time, we have so much questions and time is not on our hands. We're already going to 3 o'clock.
All right.
It's Mr. But I'll still come back to you. Is Mr. Akpantaku in the house? I don't think so. And if he's not, then we just go to number 3. Number 3, it reads thus. The title is The Future of Nigeria's Democracy in Relation to Inter-Party Defections and Intra-Party Conflicts. So there are 2 situations here. We have inter-party decampings or defections, and we have intra-party conflicts. Now, what good is this to our democracy? Now, I'm just going to read the intro and then ask the questions. The politics of intra-party crisis and inter-party decamping have become a major problem in the history of Nigerian democracy, particularly during the 4th Republic. Now, the question, the first question, I think there are 4 questions and 4 individuals to answer. The first one is, what is the effect of this defection to the nation's democracy? That question goes to Dr. Yomi Gidado. I hope he's in the house, Dr. Gidado.
It will still be in the house. I think it's finding it difficult to enter. Just ask the other people, then come back to him.
Okay. The next, Professor Abdul Waheed Salihu. What is the effect of these decampings or defections to the nation's democracy?
Professor Salihu.
Is Professor Salihu in the house?
He's in the house. I've seen him.
Hello.
Yeah,
I'm in the house. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can see you now.
Oh, yes. Great. Thank you, Mr. Adesegun and Omitogun, for organizing this webinar.
Thank you for accepting to be
to Nigerian democracy is like a 1 step forward and 10 steps backward.
Wow.
Why do I say this? Where there is an ideology, it's like you are just you put seed upon sand and you keep watering it. You discover that the thing is growing. By the time you uproot and decide to go another platform, it means you are starting afresh. There is no way a democracy will grow sustain us that way. Huh? The effect of the campaign is because we don't have party ideology.
When?
And I want to believe that if the campaign has to do with issues, it means allowed. Or you need to look at incidences of the campaign.
Just a minute, Professor. Can the host please deal with these interference? There are people who don't have their mics off. Can you please turn off your mics, please? All right, go on, Professor.
Oh, great. So what I'm saying is that inter-party defection, if the defection is based on issues, there are some instances where your right is being infringed. We have seen from the two sides of the divide. Being a party, growing that party, investing on that party for like 10, 15 years, and somebody will come a day and they will rubbish you. It becomes an issue. If a lacuna comes up that way, where there is an ideology, it will be as good as you and people. When we say people, over 70, 80%, you need to come for another. Now you started investing on the party, on your own ambition. Whenever there is midterm in Nigeria, people that wants to be governor, that wants to be president, you see them started investing. Because Nigeria being the headquarters of their poverty now, they keep on giving them dates. A different thing than when it is time. And that opportunity is not given the next thing.
Thank you.
For advanced democracies. If you go to advanced democracies, you discover that things are not done that way.
Thank you very much.
You'll be growing your party. The ideology of your party. Not that you invest in based on the fact that when it is time you want to become this or you want to become that. So this thing is really not growing our democracy. Better we base our democracy on ideology, and if you are here, let us see why you are coming. All these things can be analyzed. And then you go to advanced democracy, or even some countries that have Nigeria, they don't even allow party members to form parties.
Thank you very much for that. I'll get back to you again. That's a very, very wonderful question. A wonderful answer to that question. The next question goes to Mr. Hope AKWARANDU. I hope you're available. Hello, Mr. Hope AKWARANDU.
Hello.
Okay. This question says, are the politicians cross-carpeting from one party to the other because of Nigerians or as a result of their own agendas? In other words, are they these inter-party defections? Is it because of the sake of the electorate or because of their own personal selves?
Good afternoon, Mr. All participants. Good afternoon, Mr. Adesegun and Omitogun. My name once again is Mr. Hope AKWARANDU. I thank you once again for this opportunity to air my views on Nigerian politics. The defection is not for the electorate, but for their personal gain.
Why do you say so, sir?
Yeah, why I say so is because of what is happening in Edo State, what is presently happening in Edo State. As you can see, Obaseki and the other guy from PDP, you can understand what is happening. This defected from PDP to APC and the second man from APC to PDP. Now, if they are there for the sake of the electorate, I believe that they should stand on the particular party in which they are. Great. But looking at what is going on, you will find out that the politicians we have today are not really there for the electorate. They are not there for the masses, but they are there for their personal gain. Right. If our politicians should be well scrutinized and should be well investigated, you will find out that there is something behind which they are gaining. They have their own personal gains. And all these things are done through Godfatherism, which has taken over Nigerian politics.
Can I just hold you there? One of the questions coming up later is Godfatherism. So, and the issue of Ondo State and Edo State comes up there. So even though you've mentioned Edo State, we're still going to come back to it under Godfatherism. So your points are well taken, Mr. Akwarandu. For the sake of time, let's go to the solution. And our Honorable Mr. Jimmy Agbaje. The question for the solution is, should INEC, we all know who INEC is, the Commission for Elections, should INEC propose a law that will regulate the activities of all political parties?
Well, there are laws that regulate activities of political parties. If you're talking in terms of defection and the likes, I think it's something that is going to, it's going to evolve. And let me explain. I like to say that our parties today are just platforms to get power. And I always liken it to the English Premier League, where you are Liverpool today, you are Man U tomorrow. As you don't really die for the club. Once you are paid good pay, you take it. And that's where we are as far as our politics is concerned. Now, there's no law you are going to put in place that will not run contrary to some kind of fundamental human rights. You can't tell a person to stick in a party and it cannot change. But you see, it is the people, it is the followership that will straighten it out. I keep saying, I've stopped blaming the leadership. I'm concentrating now on the followership. That you get what you want. And so for me, it's the people that would just like, you've mentioned the Edo and all that look, the people must say, is this what we want? Now, if that's what they want, fine.
Can I ask you a question on the people?
Yes.
When Omoyele Sowore tried to steer the people into waking up, it was deemed treason.
Yes.
Now, this is an example of people power being suppressed. Now, it may be deemed treason because of the language which he used regarding some like a revolution and that sort of thing. But the fear has been driven into people that when they come out, tanks might roll out and nobody wants to die for Nigeria. Therefore, everybody wants to stay in their homes and say, well, tough luck is there. They're the ones in power, they can do what they like. Do you think to a large extent, people are driven with fear,
Sowore was easily picked up because on the day of the protest, I don't think there were up to 100 people. Now, you imagine if a turnout on that day of 5,000, they won't pick anybody up.
Or even 10,000, 20,000.
Look at the recent, even in America, they said there was a curfew. You can't tell me there's a curfew. There are thousands of us on the road. Shoot us there. And that's why I'm saying that it's the people that drive the process. But if there are only 4 or 5 of you, you'll be a scapegoat.
Yeah, of course.
But when many of you come out and say enough is enough, then you get a reaction.
So basically, he didn't have the backing of the people.
Well, don't let me say he had the backing of the people, only that they were very comfortable in their homes.
Timid.
They didn't put their money where their mouth is.
Where their mouth is, I agree. Thank you so much so far. We've reached nearly 3 o'clock. The host, do you want us to have a little break before we go ahead at exactly 3 o'clock?
We're going to have is a representative of Cody's Pharmaceutical inside. Can you unmute your microphone? Hello?
Yes, we are.
Okay, just give me a minute and then let me put up your screen. I'm going to put up your screen now. Just hold on. As a matter of fact, I should have been on since. Okay, moderator, go to the next question. Then after the next question, we'll now do this one so that while this one will be ready, and we won't use that one to waste.
Okay. This next question for all participants and the audience may take the entire day. It's featured on TVC News, NTA, Channels TV, and the title is Corruption. Of course, we're going to be brief because we have other questions, but it's a huge topic, corruption. Now I'll start reading and then I'll give you the questions. Taking into context the history of corruption in Nigeria since independence from the Fourth Republic under the Chief Obasanjo government, introduced two anti-corruption agencies, the EFCC and the ICPC, to checkmate the devastating effects of corruption on the Nigerian economy. Now, the first question. This goes to Prince Bolade Olukoku. I hope you are still available, Prince Olukoku.
Yes, I'm with you.
Good, good. Does the financial corruption undermine democracy and reduce potential economic growth? You have 3 minutes, sir.
Okay,
because
thank you very much.
This is huge, so we would like you to.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. I try to be as brief as possible.
Thank you.
You see, when a man has a fever or malaria, there are so many things that make up the malaria.
I always like your analysis.
You have, you have high temperature. You have the loss of appetite and some other things. But until that malaria parasite is eradicated, you will still have that malaria. We have over this issue of corruption. I'm not saying that it does not. It's just one of the problems in Nigeria. Our major problem is education. We are not sufficiently educated in the issue of politicking. I'm not talking of having PhD or having whatever. PhD. At a point, what they call education is as long as you can write and read English, then you are corrupt. You are qualified. But as time goes on, people say, okay, you must be a BSc holder or something. They dwell on the certificate. But now, what people dwell on, at the point they dwell on foreign certificate, what people want to know now, everybody now, is what can you offer? What can you really do? The education of the masses. Yes, the education of the masses. See all the campaign. Most time, the other party will not go for the debate. The last time, Atiku refused, Buhari refused to go there. Atiku came. If Atiku had been in power, he would have done the same thing. Because that debate is when you present what you have for Nigeria, and everybody can really see that.
The manifesto.
Yes, I understand. People did not come out for Showore's whatever, because we are not educated as regards that. We just sit down until the problem of education of the masses, like what you, Mr. Tunde, are doing now, bit by bit, even 20 people here, 20 people there, 20 people there, until we are sufficiently educated. That's when we can.
Can I just add to what you're saying? When I was in England, one of my friends was saying exactly what you said about Showore, that Nigerians are not educated enough to come out to support him. And that's exactly what you're saying.
We are not.
So
we are not.
Right. You're absolutely right.
We are not. So as long as we don't sit down and we don't get the sufficient awareness, we're not going to do anything. See now, why we voted for the man in power is because it's the only corruption we are talking about. But in past history, there's something they call
the other monumental problem. Yeah.
I would have voted for Buhari to be life president of EFCC. He is good in that, but there are so many other things that presidency entails. The ability to the administration and some other things. I just believe this issue of corruption, in all honesty, it's not a major problem as far as I'm concerned. Our major problem is education of the mind of the electorate.
Enlightenment, yes. You've
yes,
gone over 3
enlightenment,
minutes, but we
awareness.
still appreciate what you said. So you'll be forgiven for going over. The next question goes to Professor Salihu. Does the case of Magu highlight the far-reaching effects of corruption in Nigeria? Magu being the suspended EFCC chairman. Professor Abdul Salihu?
Yes, yes.
Does the case of Magu highlight the far-reaching effects of corruption in Nigeria?
That's what I'm saying. The case of Magu is still, the investigation is still ongoing.
Can I just say that? Can I just say that? Do you think that the investigation should have concluded before he was arrested? You can't arrest someone and still be investigating. Like the hush puppy guy in Dubai, they've already concluded all the elections, the investigations, the FBI and the Dubai investigators before they arrested him. Now, Magu was on his way to the force headquarters and hijacked on the way amidst investigation. Do you think that is the normal way to go?
That's not the proper thing to do. That's not the proper thing to do. And just like the last speaker has rightly said, that the way we are playing over the corruption cases in Nigeria is not the main problem of this country. I equally want to really align with the last speaker that why don't we just put corruption at the secondary level, or even if possible at the tertiary level? Get everybody educated, limit interaction. Thank God we are in the 21st century. The whole world is tending towards fourth industrial era, where there will be little interactions between human beings and material resources. All these things can be done via technology. Just like the case of this people you are talking about, technology was used to do 90% of the investigation, and they are having all their facts and figures. Just like what is happening now, that a panel was set up based on the investigation of the DSS on the allegations by the AG, Attorney General, and Minister of Justice, and they started looking for this and that. Even today, about 12 top directors of EFCC.
Yes, I saw it in the paper.
They're suspended. That's not to go about it. And
I'm amazed at the way they're going about it as well.
He has not been given bail now. For whatever reason, Magu ought to have been given his bail. So don't let us celebrate corruption as if that's the main issue of this country. It can be put at the secondary or tertiary level. The people educated.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that, sir. Mr. ABANG, the barrister, and Mr. Agbaje, our distinguished governor aspirant. I'm going to ask both of you, starting with Mr. ABANG. You're going to be quite brief, and then Mr. Agbaje will end. What is your take on corruption? Yes, two of our participants have alleged that it's not really our problem. But from the First Republic, we're now in the Fourth Republic. From the First Republic, there's been an era of corruption, right to the Second, to the Third, and now we're in the Fourth Republic from 1999. Is it a problem, or education is the problem? Or re-education, or enlightenment? Mr. Abang first, and then Mr. Agbaje. Mr. Abang, please.
Well, let me start by saying that I agree totally with what my two discussants have said. In fact,
that makes three.
Yeah, if it were possible to clap for them, I would have clapped for them when they were talking. Because that's the position I always maintain. The greatest problem with Nigeria is not corruption. Everybody corruption. The greatest problem in Nigeria, like Salihu said, you can put in either tertiary or quadrillion in there or food theory. There is always corruption. In US, there is corruption. In UK, there is corruption. Everywhere in the world, there is corruption. You cannot stop it. Even for those of us who are Christians, you go to the Bible, there is corruption. there in the olden day, in the Old Testament. So you cannot say because of corruption, everything in Nigeria must stand still. There are certain things you put in place, and this corruption will be reduced. There are certain things you put.
Okay, can you just give us examples of those things? Can you just give an example of 2 of those things that can be put in place that will eliminate, not totally eliminate, but reduce?
Okay. Like he mentioned the issue of hush puppy. The use of science and technology can go a long way in tracking corruption. It's like you saying that, oh, there's corruption in Nepal, but you know that simple in ensuring that there is prepaid meter in every household in Nigeria. You have solved over 85% of corruption in Nepal. So there are certain things you do to tackle corruption. You talk of governance, the cost of governance. Like one of our discussants said, he said, House of Assembly or House of Rep member do this, do that. What about the executive? You know, anything the legislature do, the whole world will hear about it. The members vote so for themselves. But what about the executive? The executive is where the real money is, and they are doing it. A governor would have 15 guest houses in different parts of Nigeria. Is that not? Those are the things that eat into the finances or the cost of governance. How do you tackle that? But someone will just come and say, I'm fighting corruption, I'm fighting corruption. So because you are fighting corruption, everybody should go and sleep. Everybody should go to hell because you are fighting corruption.
All right,
we need serious education on this issue. So many education on so many things, including the corruption itself.
Thank you so much.
Because of time, I would have gone into the other aspect.
I understand. There will be more of this sort of forum, so it doesn't end
if
here.
Time permits, I want to speak on the corruption.
Can you please hold on? That's Mr. Hope AKWARANDU, isn't it?
Yes, that is
okay.
me.
I've allowed our honorable Mr. Jimmy Agbaje. In fact, I wanted him to conclude on this, to give solutions to what this corrupt situation we have in Nigeria. We can't deny that there's no corruption that big. I mean, in the news, we always heard, when I was young, we used to hear of thousands. And then when I grew older, we heard of millions. And now we're hearing of billions. And before long, we'll be hearing of trillions of money being made away with. Our dear distinguished governorship aspirant, what do you think is the solution? 3 of our participants have already said it's education.
Yeah.
Do you agree that education goes a long way?
Yes, but maybe I'll just try and contribute a bit deeper. It's got to do with the value system. You know, values are determined by society.
Yes.
And society determines values based on faith, based on experience, based on things that experience, of the past. Now, unfortunately, like you said, we used to talk about 10% in the 60s. Now we talk about 500 and something percent. So values have changed. Values are no longer determined by society. In Nigeria today, right is wrong, wrong is right.
Wrong is right.
As determined by you. So if I want to steal, I justify it. I'm stealing for my people. And I have no apology. But if you steal, then you are a thief because I have not benefited from it. So it's still got to do with education, going back to, look, what are our values? Our faith, and irrespective of our faith, teaches us that what you worship is your priority.
Yes.
Now, so if you worship money, then you will tick corruption before fear of God.
Anything else? Yes.
And that's what is playing out. So for me, it's education, but education now, apart from general education, is that we need to go back to having what I call society values. That a thief is a thief. Whether he has stolen for me or for you because he was hungry, he's still a thief. But it's not so any longer in our country. You justify it one way or the other.
Thank you so much. This has been a great session. Mr. Akwarandu, although
hello, before Mr. Moderator, before you go to the next one, one or two of the discussants are inside. Dr. Yomi Gidado, can you signify whether? Hello, Dr. Yomi Gidado. Hello, Dr. Yomi Gidado, please. Can you unmute your mic so that we can hear you? The question that is left for you, you will understand and answer it. Hello? Okay, continue while we don't let you.
Hello.
Once you are in. Okay, you are in. Okay. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, can you, that's Dr. Yomi.
Hello, I'm in, I'm connected.
Okay, you are connected. Okay, ask him his question. Can you trace his question? I think it was a
well,
one of the questions.
No, his question is way back in number 3. We'll come back to that because we have another question for him in number 5 now.
Okay, no problem.
And we're just concluding number 4. Now, Mr. Hope AKWARANDU, we've actually exhausted this corruption issue, but because you raised up your hand, and I'll give you just 2 minutes to say what you've got to say on corruption.
Thank you. So, yeah, what I have to say on corruption is a personal thing, and it starts way back from the family. You see, families today, yeah, we should, like way back in the 60s, 40s, the way our parents, it depends. All parents should, you understand, create a modality of bringing up their children. Because the way some people are being brought up is not in line with the principles of God. Now, as an individual, I should be able to know the difference between good and the bad and decide to choose to do good. But when you are corrupt and you cannot choose between good and bad, and whatever money you see within yourself, you decide, I will take this, I will take this, I will take this, that means you are corrupt. But one thing I know is that if our government can truly stand to their feet and use modern technologies, we can stop corruption in Nigeria. Though corruption cannot be truly eradicated, completely eradicated, but at least it can be minimized.
Thank
For instance,
thank you so much, because we have other.
Let's go for the break now.
Yeah, let's go for the break. How many minutes? 2, 3
just
minutes?
2, 3 minutes, yes. Representative of Codex, please. Ms. Tolu, can you come online, please?
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, wait, hold on, let me bring up your slide before you start. Your slide is going to come up in the next 1 minute now, less than a minute. Just 1 more minute, it's coming up. I'm sharing Codex slides. Okay, can you all see it now?
Yes.
Okay, you can commence your.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Olukoku Etu, representative of Codex Pharma Limited. Codex Pharma is we're a pharmaceutical company based in Lagos, Nigeria. We are focused on cardiometabolic care, mainly diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Our mission is improving the health of the nation through introduction of quality, innovative, and affordable products. Of course, patient education and health service development. Now, although we have our head office here in Lagos, Nigeria, but we also have offices in Ghana, Sierra Leone, and in the UK. We partner with international companies for our point of care devices. So for cardiometabolic care, we are into the management of the core disease areas: diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. So we are into the devices management and diagnostics and management of those core areas. Now we have Mr. Omitogun has taken that slide away.
Let me put it
We have offices in across West Africa, Ghana, Sierra Leone, and UK, like I said. So we partner with Osang, Abbott, and SDBL Sensor for our point of care devices, and our drugs are our own brand labels. Now, regarding our devices, point of care devices, we have our range of COVID-19 and reagents. Yes, thank you. COVID-19 kits and reagents. These kits are CE marked. They are US FDA certified, and also, of course, we have the NAFDAC permit for the kits. So we have the PCR reagent, we have the antigen kits, the antigen and the antibody diagnostic kits, and we also have an innovative 2-in-1 antigen and antibody test kit, which covers the full spectrum of the diagnosis. Now, aside from the antigen, the COVID-19 test kits, we have devices for blood glucose monitoring. We have for HbA1c, which is for diabetes management and diagnosis. We have our Selection, which is for our heart disease diagnosis or a range of chronic diseases. Then we have our VeriQ point of care device for HB and PCV measurements, and of course, lipid profile analyzer for full lipid profile diagnosis and management. Our address, we are based in Lagos. Our address is number 14. Next slide, please, sir. Thank you. Our website is www.codixpharma.com. You can visit our website to learn more about our products and offerings. You can contact us via email.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Is she off?
14, our address number 14, Michael Ade via text screen. If there are any questions, I might.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Tulu. We'll now go into the next session. Please, time is going short because we are going to round up by 4 on the dot, 4 o'clock, because so many people have.
Program, you can reach out. Sorry?
No problem.
Okay, thank you very much.
Our dear host, we can extend to 4:15 or 4:20. Thereabout.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Right. Are we all in the house? Hello, everybody.
Yep. Yes, we are here.
Hello.
Okay. Question number 5. Electoral violence. Okay. Question number 5 deals with electoral violence. And we have our mics muted.
Nearly 8 months after she was commissioned as Nigeria's first female combat helicopter pilot.
Somebody is.
Can we have our mics muted, please?
25 years of age. And that was announced on the statement by the Air Force spokesman.
Please, who is putting on the radio or something like that?
Yeah.
Head injuries sustained in a car accident at the Nigerian Air Force Base. According to him, a former classmate of hers who saw her coming from the market had reversed his car.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. Now we are okay.
Okay. Number 5, electoral violence. I'll read and then ask the question. Dr. Yomi Gidado this is a very strong question for you, and Professor Fatima, Lawal, and anyway, let's roll. The Nigerian political landscape is tainted with electoral violence of different colorations, which includes stealing of electoral materials, murders and assassination, arson, voter disenfranchisement, disruption of electoral process, and damage to property. Of course, there are many more, but we limit it to that. Local as well as international election observers have written reports of these irregularities even as far back as the 2007 elections. The first question, is this a problem for democracy in Nigeria, and what are the solutions to alleviate this political malady? And the first question goes to Dr. Yomi Gidado. The problem of electoral violence.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon, please.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I need to thank the good afternoon. I need to thank the conveners of this program or conversation on issues that define the nature of our democracy and politics.
Yes.
One, there are issues that are also connected to the structure of the state. Because if we are going to talk about democracy, of course, it may have a universal definition in terms of, participation. Because once participation is removed from democracy, then it turns into another thing. Now, there's an absence of democracy in the country. What we have is just a return to civil rule. We don't have democracy now because all the instruments through which we could evaluate a government is not there. And there are issues that are connected. There are issues that are connected to this. One, we also have to understand the history of our country as a nation is a post-colonial state.
Yes.
Two, we must also understand how power was also transferred from the colonial powers to the component units of the federation.
That's right.
Then three, we must also understand that the Nigerian state has been criminalized. So the essence of politics is not really service. It is just essentially for personal enrichment, or accumulation of wealth.
Which we have discussed before you came. Exactly what we discussed before you came.
Yeah, I'm coming, please. Yeah. Then secondly, it's also the question of primordial issues connected to the issue of religion and ethnicity. For example, people hardly interrogate issues. What are the issues that should define what a government should be? People are not interested. Whether they are politicians or voters, they are not interested. Voters are interested in how do I get somebody that is close to me to be in government so that that person could address my own personal needs. Now, there's also a failure of governance too, because there is monetization. There's monetization of politics.
Yes.
Now, when a political party designs a procedure that excludes 90% of the population from governance, for example, you are saying somebody should come and pay 25 million naira.
I'm afraid it appears you've been muted. Maybe by
Can you
accident.
unmute, please? Unmute your mic, Dr. Gidado. Unmute your mic at the lower end of your screen. Okay.
Hello, please.
Yeah, we can hear you now. No problem. Sorry about that.
I've done that, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
So as I was saying, people vote for reasons that are purely economical.
Yes.
Or personal. People actually evaluate the strength of personalities or the strength of politics. Now, there's also an absence of political parties. I mean, there's an absence of internal democracy among political parties. We cannot say these are political parties in the country. They are just mere associations of people who are interested in
because
power from one
can I
another.
just, Dr. Yomi Gidado, can I just say, from what you're saying, is this what is partly or fully responsible for the large-scale electoral irregularities such as been mentioned, like disruption of the electoral process, voters disenfranchisement, stealing of electoral materials, murders in some cases, assassinations? What you're saying, is that really responsible for these misdemeanors?
It's likely connected to the, that's what I'm saying, that the criminalization of the state, that is likely connected to that. The reason why people kill one another to get into office is because of the parasites of the office. When you reduce, for example, when I was in the National Assembly, as an aide,
you got 30 seconds, sir, because there are other people to talk.
Now, what I'm just saying is that the excessive, tax that also go to public officials, make them or compel them to struggle to get to that office, regardless of whether they have been voted into power or not.
Or not.
Yeah, or not.
Thank you, Dr. Yomi Gidado. Your points are well taken, and we just hope that there will be a solution to this in the country.
There is a participant that is raising up his hand, Uzoma Amechi. Please, just...
is that from the audience?
Yeah, from the audience.
We'll get to her. Can she just hold on as we wait for Professor? We'll come back to her immediately after Professor Fatima Lawal.
Okay.
Professor Fatima Lawal, I hope you're listening.
Yes, I'm listening.
Now, you're from Malaysia, and I'm sure you will have witnessed elections. Is there any electoral violence of the type we have in Nigeria? Does it occur over there? And if so, how is it solved? We want to know.
Well, not really. The type of electoral violence we have in Nigeria, we don't have it in Malaysia.
Wow.
Everything is well planned, and whoever tried this will not find it funny at all.
Wow.
Like I've said earlier on, that we do not have what is called a true democracy in Nigeria. What we have is far from true democracy. We will recall that since the First Republic to the Fourth Republic, we have witnessed a lot of electoral violences, ranging from manipulation, rigging, buying off of voters, and so forth. And all these have been attributed as a result of desperation. People are so desperate to be in power. In my first question, I talk about people buying off the candidates. The candidates will buy off people by giving empty promises, and at the end of the day, they will not be able to fulfill it. They know for sure and they will not. But as a result of desperation, they want to be there at all costs. And this is one of the reasons why we have electoral violences in Nigeria. And there is no election that has been so free and fair without electoral violence. Greediness, as a result of desperation, as a result of misinformation, and a lot of people are unemployed. So these candidates will buy them over, call on them, give the thugs money, and tell them to manipulate everything. So we need a solution to this. And what are the solutions that we are looking for? The power struggles and resentment in several states of Nigeria must come to an end. We must not give room to this. We must not allow this to be the order of the day.
Who are we? Who are we, Professor? Who are we that must not give?
We Nigerians.
In other words, the people.
The people, yes. The people. The heavy clashes.
So we're going back to that issue of education again.
Yes, education is very important. because the lack of education prompts all these thugs to dance to the tune of the politicians who just want to use them. They will use them and dump them. They will promise them, and at the end of the day, they will not fulfill all the promises they have given to them. Just as we have discussed earlier on the followership, they just make use of them and dump them at the end of the day. So the heavy clashes among supporters of politicians and political parties must be stopped by the government if the government wants to do the right thing. If the government wants to follow the electoral processes of other countries, for example, I've been in Malaysia for the past 14 years and I've witnessed some elections. The elections in Malaysia are far from what we are having in Nigeria. What we have in Nigeria is very pathetic, very, very pathetic. There is no bloodshed in Malaysia whenever there is an election. Everything goes on smoothly and perfectly.
Professor, I really want to thank you for shedding light on another model of elections aside from Nigeria. The host, can you bring in the lady who had a question? Is she available? Or? Hello? Hello?
Can you go to the next one, please?
Okay, if she's not available, our Honorable Mr. Jimmy Agbaje, can you give us solutions to this, the way we can solve this issue of electoral violence, particularly as we've heard the Malaysian model, and not just in Malaysia, in other parts of the world, we know elections take place, and we don't often hear of bloodshed. Why do we have to have bloodshed in Nigeria? You know, and can it be solved? Can this problem be solved? Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Just very quickly, I think the issue is the stakes are high, very high.
Yeah.
People sell their houses, they sell to the last cupboard, they borrow to the hilt for wrong reasons, of course, because it's about power, it's about money. And so, sometimes when you go into elections, say primaries and all, you spend everything you have, and the results do not come, the process is faulty, then there is a problem. So you tend to lose your temper, you tend to create violence because the process has not been conducted well. Again, we behave, the caliber of people that go into politics, you know, it's like when you have area boys, the only way they resolve their problem is by violence.
Violence, yes, that's true.
And it's the same way that you have in politics, that you are not, you know, we're brought up in the old days of going to debate, the best argument and things like that. Now it's brawn, it's not brain, you know, so that also does not work. And of course, the last thing I would just like to add is prosecution. You have electoral violence, but nobody is prosecuted.
That's it, nobody.
So if I know that I will beat, I will kill, and nothing's going to happen, then I'll get worse the next time round. So the people must insist that there must be prosecution. And I think the Kogi one was a very good example.
Everything still goes back to the people.
Oh yeah, it's the people that will determine what they want.
Because if the police are bought or
the sovereignty lies with them.
Yes. If the police or the security agencies are hired to protect it is the onus is on the people to
don't forget that the Kogi, if you remember the case of the Kogi lady that was burnt in her house.
Yes, I remember.
Nothing happened Until the people started to make noise.
True.
Well, they have arrested, but we haven't heard anything since then. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for offering us that solution. Prince Bolade Olukoku, I hope you're in the house.
Yes, I'm in the house.
And Professor Salihu, and there will be others as well. This next question, number 6, is about Godfatherism. And this is where the issue of Edo and Ondo State come into place. The reading or the intro says, from available literature reviewed, a study has shown that the most honest, accountable, and dedicated political aspirants in Nigeria are not financially buoyant, nor influential, nor financially capable to compete and win in the party primaries and the general elections. Nigerian godfathers are well placed in strategic positions to decide candidates for political offices. The fallout between a godfather and the protege often results in party defections, as in the current cases of Edo and Ondo State. Now the question to Prince Bolade Olukoku. Looking at the Edo State incumbent governor and his deputy defection to the PDP from the APC, and the deputy governor of Ondo State defection from APC to PDP, are these decampings in line with their party constitutions, particularly when these elected officials won their mandates under their previous parties and are still in government positions? Prince Bolade.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Adesegun.
Yes, sir.
I believe Godfatherism is not a Yoruba nor Hausa nor Igbo word. It's an English word. That means something like that exists over there. So it's not peculiar to them.
Yes.
Now, but why is it not playing out in US and some other places? I will still come back to the issue of the electoral rate, knowing what to do. Just like Mr. Yomi Gidado said, he says just like you play in Liverpool today, you play in
Manchester. Yeah.
I don't even know whether even the politicians, I'm not even 100% sure they have a solid plan when they are going. All they just want to do is, I want to win the power.
Yes.
It's just like it doesn't matter the team I used to score. I might be in Liverpool today and be
tomorrow.
I might be in Arsenal tomorrow and whatever. But you know the problem that actually happens most of the time when there are that kind of blind followership is the masses that suffer for it.
Yes, they are.
Ronaldo is elsewhere today. He was in Manchester United before. He's enjoying his life. But if somebody now kill himself, yes, he will play against Manchester United tomorrow. Next tomorrow, he will be in Manchester playing against Real Madrid. So I will still take it back to the issue I'm talking about the education. Like we need to emancipate ourselves from that slavery by getting ourselves really educated. There was a time Baba did about the Godfather.
Can I ask you a question on that education, please?
Okay.
I don't know the correct figures of Nigerians who are on smartphones, but I know that a lot of Nigerian millions are on phones and on social media like Facebook and so on. Now, it appears that when we talk about education, the Nigerians, the purpose of their being educated with particular reference to phones is for the fun, to the likes, the thumbs up, to be on Facebook. Now, can the phones, these gadgets, with the millions of subscribers, can education be poured into that market? Because we have an abundant figure of illiterates in Nigeria. There's no doubt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adesegun.
Yeah.
Anybody that can think forward or any right-thinking individual will know that this is the future. Your mobile, whatever. In fact, I'm talking about, I wrote one piece that I called Mobopreneur. I think I wrote it as far back as 2010. Okay. See, nobody even sit down and really watch television again. They are glued to their computer and their mobile. You're right. Their mobile set. As we are talking now, people are linked in all over the world.
That's right.
Watching us. So this is the future. Anybody can just use this. In fact, people have already started. We have 250 million mobile phone user, according to
that's what I was trying to find out, the figure. Yes.
Yeah, according to NCC, we have 250 million mobile phone users. Nigeria is just 200 million, which means that at least an average Nigeria have 1.5. If there's anything, let me just call it 2 mobile phones. So there's no way. This is the best way to get the people aware. No, your vote counts. Go down there. You can influence things. But talking about the rioting and some other things and the violence, it cannot stop until well-educated. Until I know that, until I know that, why should I go out and fight for Tinubu when his kids are somewhere enjoying their money?
Okay.
But because he's been working. There was a time in Ibadan, Babade, who is a godfather there was a time, if we voted together in the same place, he couldn't do anything because the people say no. But right now, you even hear some highlights saying that, this guy is really working for us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prince, because for the sake of time, and we need to cover the other questions after 4, going towards 4 now. Professor Abdul Waheed Salihu, what is your take on this Godfatherism phenomenon in Nigerian politics?
Godfatherism.
Can I just say before this that this exists even in America? It's all over the place, but Nigeria's model of politics is so different from the rest of the world. There's Godfatherism over there in America between the Republican and the Democrats as well. It happens in England. But here in Nigeria, it's of a peculiar nature, which even involves assassinations and so on. What is your take on it, sir?
Godfatherism in the political space of Nigeria
is
causing more harm than blessing. And this reminds me of late Godfather Waheed of blessed memories.
Yes.
When he established his National Conscience Party, he wanted to rule this country. He had no any godfather. He visited one of the traditional rulers in the north. His campaign team, he tried to explain all his manifestos to people with his campaign train. The traditional ruler kept looking at him. Look. He said, I want to have one-on-one discussion with you. Who is your godfather? He invited me behind the curtain. That Chief Godfather, who's your godfather in Nigeria? I said, no, I have no godfather. If that is the case, they won't allow you to be there. All the people doing all these things is based on personal vendetta. It's not about we people. So it is what we should, yes, in the advanced democracy, they are using it positively. But here, we are using it for our own personal vendetta. There is no way. It is he who pay pipette that dictates the team. You look for money, you struggle for his candidature, and you struggle over the election. When he won, you want to take 99%. Exactly that is how we behave here. The mindset about Godfatherism here is tending towards negative development. It's not for the people. So it's better we gear up, and I think we need much of political education and awareness. Much of political education, and we must not fear of failure. We must not fear. People shouldn't fear. Should not fear about failure. Let's keep on trying. For the public,
thank you so much.
Political education and awareness continues. At a point, we are going to get it right. But Godfatherism,
Thank you so much, sir. It's quite obvious that education is key in most of the questions that and we're going to come to education in number 8. When we get to number 8, I believe aside from the participants, we would like people from the audience to ask questions because this concerns our children. But before we get to number 8, we deal with number 7, which is democracy and the economy. We're going to have Mr. Hope AKWARANDU, Professor Fatima, Lawal, and let me see. Let's start anyway. As we go forward, we'll see who else should participate. There is an impressive body of empiric evidence demonstrating that the economic crisis of various forms can trigger transition from democratic regime to authoritarian regime. Economic transformation and boosting of developmental governance must go hand in hand. While the business outlook for Nigeria is increasingly investor-friendly, the state of the country's infrastructural development remains abysmal. Professor Fatima Lawal, what is your take on the impact of good governance on the Nigerian economy, especially the private sector? And what is the way forward, if any? Well, there should be anyway.
All right, thank you very much.
I hope you heard the question.
Yes, democracy and economy.
Yes.
The economic outcomes. Yes.
Go on.
Outcomes of democracy are many. They are we have various of them. However, most important is that it aids in education of various programs and policies that are not beneficial for the people of the country. So the economic development in democracy is not as high as dictatorship. However, it does help in reduction of economic disparities in the country.
That's right, it does.
Democracy itself may not have a direct effect on economic growth. However, it has strong and significant effects which contributes to the growth of the economy. So if we look at the good governance promotes good policies. Like what the governments of the country has been doing, the federal government of Nigeria has been doing. For instance, this will ease the business of the country. For example, if the government give rooms for the foreign investors to come in and start up their business, if the government encourage them, this will be far-fetched and we will cross the hurdles that we have in the democracy and economy. The government has been largely successful in doing this, but there is still room for improvement in all stratas of economy, especially the private sector. So the government needs to encourage the private sectors to do more than what they have been doing. And the government itself, the federal government has to do a lot. For example, the government should develop they should give provision to the power. In Nigeria, when I came, have not been getting it funny. Most of the times, the light goes off and on. Within a twinkling of an eye, the light goes off. It was not like that where I'm coming from. I will tell you that
you've stayed too long in Malaysia, that's why.
In the last 40 years that I've been out of the country, I will tell you that I've never witnessed a minute of power of such or no lights like we have in Nigeria. So it will be very good if the government can try as much as possible to put all things in place. Then we will be talking about a better Nigeria. So that is my own take on this question.
Thank you. In the introduction to this question, I said, while the business outlook for Nigeria appears to be investor-friendly, that is the influx of foreign business, such as the Chinese, not that I have anything against the Chinese, but they seem to have come into our country by our invitation. get involved in industry while we have private sector being undermined. Is this a problem, or
it is a problem, and it is a problem, and it is not a problem?
Okay.
Everything in life is give and
for
take.
1 minute.
Everything,
For 1 minute, please.
yes, no problem. Everything in life is give and take.
Yes, yeah.
We have the foreign investors coming in. The government can regulate the rules and regulations, what they need to do and what they will not. They should not cross this boundary. These are what we give the foreign investors. These are the laws, and you must follow the laws.
That's
For example, in Malaysia and other countries, they invite the foreign investors and they attract them with so many things. If the government also do the same, we will benefit a lot from them. However, they must know their boundary. The government must not place them ahead of our private investors in Nigeria.
Well spoken.
So there must be rules and regulations, and there must be boundary for them what to do and what not to do.
Thank you, Professor. That's exactly what I expected you to say. Mr. Hope AKWARANDU, being a businessman, what is your take on what this economic situation as it affects good governance from our leader? How has it affected your business, being in the private sector?
Thank you, Mr. Ade Adesegun.
Yes,
as a businessman, I would prefer to say that every country's government policy has a direct influence on the economic performance of that particular country.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
Yes, that is to say that a good governance reflects directly on the economic growth of that particular country. Now, I want to tell us here that there is no government policy in Nigeria that is favorable for us, the local investors. Okay? Yes. For instance, like as a government, they should balance the economy. At least look at the aggregate demand and also look at the aggregate supply to make sure that it is balanced before the economy can grow. Now, look at it in this way. It's very easy. Like what we export and what we import should balance. And at the same time, we should be able to, assist the locals, the local investors, the private investors in everything that they do in their production for them to, to move forward. Lack of infrastructure is one of the problems that we are facing. Yes, and
I'll put that down here. Yes.
Okay, lack of infrastructure, and another thing is the inability of the law enforcement agency to enforce the law.
That's right.
That is one of it. So, like now, let me put it in this way: like we need to reduce the importation of goods. For instance, last week I was driving to somewhere along K2 with my wife. So on traffic, I decided to, Igbo guys, people were like selling charger, a lot of things, a lot of wares. Then I looked at those things and I asked my wife a question. I said, among everybody selling in this traffic, who among them is selling made in Nigerian product? That's a big question, she said. I said, yes. Now look at it in this way. The demand of our country, we need to wear clothes, we need watches, we need shoes, we need hair cream, we need clipper. Everything that we need must it be imported from China. Now, if we keep buying everything that we use from China, how is our economy going to grow? How are we going to grow the economy? So that is a big question that we need to ask those people up there in Abuja. Now, ask them, what can they do to develop our economy? You understand me? This is easy. And the one thing again I want to mention is the tax. What they charge?
You have 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay. Now the
No,
tax
go
and
on,
all
go
that.
on.
So what I'm trying to say is this: because of the time, you know, because I thought you can just give me a little time at least to elaborate more on this. But
Okay,
you
you
know,
have 1 minute. 1 minute, sir.
okay, thank you, sir. So what I'm trying to say is this: they should try and scout the local producers in Nigeria, those people who has the technocrat to, you know, to produce something, you understand me, empower them, give them credit facilities so that they will be able to, you know, produce and be able to sell within the country. When we get the money within the country and spend it within the country, our economy will grow. You understand me? And they should look into all this embezzlement here and there. You hear that somebody is going with these billions, one person is going with the other millions. You understand me? If all this money has been, you know, put in place and use it for infrastructural development, I think that we will have a better country. So if those in power should come together, forget about corruption, have good plan for the country, I believe that Nigeria can be a better country. Then again, like the Prof has said, my fellow discussant, she talked about the foreign investors. You know, there should be laws in place that will guide them. You understand me? Because I think sometimes last year or early this year, we heard of Chinese mining gold in Kano, I mean, in the northern states and all that. And nobody was, you understand me, monitoring all those things. So I think that for our economy to grow, you know, there should be a policy, there should be a good economic policy, and at the same time, the law enforcement agencies should be ready to enforce the law rather than taking bribes when they are supposed to enforce the law.
Thank you so much, sir. All your comments are valid, and I hope that these, as we've started this, Nigeria will be moving forward with more enlightenment. Now we come to the issue of education. We've been highlighting education in most of the questions and solutions so far. And this number 8 is of vital importance. The title of the question the discourse of this question is the future of our children in today's democracy. Now, what I'm about to read to you was taken from the POLMOT WhatsApp group, and I started to quote it verbatim, maybe a little bit of paraphrase here and there, and then to quote what Professor Wale Soyinka said regarding this situation. And I read thus: 1.5 million sat for WAEC in 2019. In 2020, this year, it will probably be around the same figure. These boys and girls will not write WAEC this year because of COVID-19. Edo State has 2.2 million registered voters, while Ondo State has 1.8 registered voters. Combined, both states have 4 million plus registered voters. So 4 million registered voters are more than 1.5 million students who will write WAEC. Now, elections will hold in both these states this same year, in spite of COVID-19. Examinations cannot hold because of, this is the quote from Professor Wale Soyinka, examination cannot hold because of coronavirus, or because coronavirus is a grave danger to students, but elections can hold because it is an agenda to politicians. This is what Professor Wale, I quote, said on this. Now, Dr. Yomi Gidado, the question here is, are these elected officials expected to govern these same students who are told not to write exams when they now are elected in these two states and all over Nigeria? Who holds priority? The elected governors and their deputies, or the future of our students? Dr. Yomi Gidado.
Well, thank you, Moderator. It's quite a very tricky issue, but the most important for me is also the security of lives. People want to organize election. There are reasons why they need to do that. It may not essentially be for governance issue. It may just be for the purpose of ensuring that the electoral process is not truncated. However, I think that if we look at the structure of our state, we do not have the capacity to contain the crisis of COVID-19. And I do know that even in the universities, I mean, sometimes ago in the past when we were students, you know, trying to fight against the military, there were instances where a session was also cancelled. I mean, this is my own logic. Now, if children go, for example, now if you look at the demography, the disease does not affect children the way it affects the old people. But certainly, when children go to school, they need to meet their teachers, and you cannot tell children that they should not play. By the time they come back home, and you know, we are beginning to have a good understanding of this, you know, virus. And the more we try to understand the virus, the more the virus also poses another coloration for understanding. So for me, I think the decision of the government to say that, okay, they are going to cancel the WAEC exam for this year is a reflection of the absence of governance over years. Because, I mean, for example, my last child, you know, attends a private school, and they have been doing online classes. That's right. Now, even those of us who teach in the federal universities, we cannot do online classes because the infrastructure is not there. I have some of my colleagues who teach in the private universities, and they're saying that some of them have been doing online classes. But unfortunately, in federal universities, we cannot do that because we are going to exclude more than 70% or 80% of the population. Now, for me, that's why I say it's a tricky question. I don't have information that is rich enough for me to conclude that whatever the government could have decided on that was not correct. But what I do know is that in spite of our efforts to contain this virus, the reality is that the virus is becoming stronger in terms of its coverage. And for me, I think as a society, we need to be very, very careful in the way we reopen schools. For me, if politicians want to organize their elections, they could.
Dr. Gidado, I want you to stick to the question. The question here is the comparison between elections that we hold in Edo State and Ondo State compared to the government not allowing these kids to have their exams. Now, I just read that 4 million together, both Edo and Ondo State, there will be 4 million registered voters who will go out exposed, no social distancing, probably a majority of them not wearing masks, and even if they wear masks, they will be quite close to polling stations. Now, these 1.5 million children, the entire school system is not in session. What can be done is that the children, there will be lots of space within the school premises for them to space in right. WAEC itself is not in the African body, it's a West African body. And all other African, West African countries will be taking this exam, minus Nigeria. We seem to place priority over politics, over who will be able to govern, than the future of our students. That's what this question is addressed. So that's exactly.
Yeah, I do understand that. I do understand, and that was my response to that question. What I am saying is that, one, we need to be very careful. If politicians want to organize election, I mean, I could decide on my own that, okay, given the reality of the situation, I cannot go out.
1 minute, sir.
I cannot go out to vote.
Yes.
Okay, but for the reopening of schools or for exams, how do you want to plan procedures or processes or institutions that will now regulate the way students are going to do their exams? Well, if you are saying that over 2 million are...
Excuse me, sir. I will leave that question to the ABANG to answer that one. That question you asked, how is the government going to go about regulating...
Sorry, 1 minute, Mr. Moderator. Sorry. One way or the other, I got locked out. I've transferred the host to you. Can you transfer the host back to me or co-host? So that there are some people that are online. At the participant menu, you will see more. Then make me host or co-host on your screen. Sorry, everybody, just 1 minute because I've been locked out because of it's what we have been discussing since NEPA power.
Yeah, done. Right. Okay. It's done. Okay,
no problem. Thanks. Continue, please.
Yes, with that question from Dr. Yomi Gidado, I want Barrister ABANG MKPANDIOK to answer that question. What contingency plans does government or will government make towards if the student were to write these exams?
Good afternoon, everyone, once again.
Yeah,
I think, let me start by saying that I seem not to agree totally with the Prof. When
I don't agree with him either.
I don't seem to agree with him. But having said that, I want to say that it is far more easier for the government of Nigeria, if we are serious, and the Ministry of Education to make modalities for examinations to be taken at least by the final year students. We are talking about nationwide. 1.something million, even if there are 2 million nationwide, it does not matter. But this one we are talking on the other side, we are talking about just 2 states, 4.something million, they will be there. So now, in a state, there's nothing even wrong in saying, well, in Lagos State, instead of 20 schools doing the exams, it will be done in 40 schools. It will be done in 50 schools because we have to maintain social distancing.
Precisely.
It would even encourage, it will completely wipe out exam malpractices.
That's right.
Because students will sit far from one another in a hall like this that will normally take 100 students in an examination. You can just say only 20 of them will be there.
That's
so
right.
There will be well spaced. There will be well spaced out. So the federal government of Nigeria, the Ministry of Education, as well as the West African Examination Council, can excellently do these things. Even if there's no way they cannot regulate this thing. I sincerely believe it's not fair on the children. And once again, let me also say it very importantly. We are not talking about all the students in every school.
That's
in fact,
right.
we are not even talking about all the students of writing the exam. Apart from mathematics and English, majority don't take the paper the same day. So today is for biology. Only biology students will attend. Tomorrow is government. Only government students will attend. The next day is agricultural science. Only agricultural students will attend. So why is it that, how can you tell us that the Nigerian government cannot regulate something as minute as this? I believe we can do it if they want to. Right. If education is important to us.
Yes. Thank you, Barrister. That is what I was expecting from Dr. Yomi Gidado, but also everybody has different opinions. Is there any member of the audience who is concerned about this that has a question before it goes to somebody else on the panel? Host, can you find anybody who's got a question on this issue?
Good evening.
Is there anyone with a question? Okay.
Good evening, sirs.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Mr. Ozoma Mechi.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm communicating from Madrid, Spain.
Good. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Actually, before I proceed with my comments, I really want to confirm if the audience you are calling is particularly on this issue of school students, or is it in generally the meeting that we have set it for today and we are now on it, so that I will know, because I don't really have interest much in this school and the examination topic, but I have been waiting for a very long time for an audience, but I have been following up all the discussion, but the audience have not been permitted. So now that you call for audience, then I said, let me put a bit.
May I just say that the plan was to have the audience to participate at the end of the whole thing. Okay. However, because this particular question has to do with children and the future, that's why the audience is permitted. The audience would have been permitted in the long run after to ask questions starting from the very beginning. So this one is specific about the children.
Okay, no problem. You can proceed. This particular topic now of school and the students, I'm not really interested much.
Okay, but you have another on
yes, maybe when you call for the general. Okay, I'm still waiting, sir.
No, you'll be among the first, if not the first.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Is there anybody else on this issue?
Okay, convener, sir. My name is Engineer Tukuba. I have some vested interest in that very topic with respect to the students. I just want to support what Barrister ABANG has said concerning the resumption for the exam. Like I have observed the Minister of Education, I feel the Minister of Education is very, very sensitive about the plight of the students. And when you look at things like that, you will be wondering if the man himself has the understanding of what it takes to keep students who were preparing for exam, and all of a sudden pandemic goes out, and they return home. And most of these children are also internet freaks. They follow up every news. They have seen that market has opened, roads have been opened for people to go about their businesses. And they keep wondering why the government keeping them at home. You know, and that brings to the suspicion that the presidential task force not genuinely declaring figures. Because I remember one of the kids here tried to point it to me that is it that you are keeping children because they know probably nothing will happen to the children in the school, and that will go further to prove to the people who are adapting those figures. You know, so in this case, I honestly believe that there should be an urgent need for these schools to resume because the children are tired of staying at home. And even the university students, they should allow the universities, just like the establishments, plan their re-entry of the students. And government can put down procedure to monitor those re-entry. We're a big country. We cannot behave as if we have not grown.
Thank you, sir.
That is what I observe here, sir. Thank you very much.
Your point is well taken. Just one more from the audience, and we proceed to the next question.
Hello.
Yes, hello, sir.
I'm calling from Malaysia.
Malaysia, okay.
I was interested in this question.
Good.
Malaysia, the final year students resumed of June for the final exam, and for the preparatory for year one study. But I don't see any reason or any need Nigeria to say that there will not be any education or there will not be any WAEC this year. It makes me feel unhappy when we see a young children who future now at stake because of pandemic. I spoke with one of the a doctor in World Health a day yesterday. He told me that this COVID-19 will not even know in the next 3 years whether the COVID-19 is going to be eradicated except a vaccine is being produced. So in the event that there's no vaccine this year, there's no vaccine next year, so the children should be at home without writing exam. So I'm appealing to the complainant to appeal to the government to reconsider their stand and allow the children to participate in their WAEC exam. In line with what ABANG has said, I don't see any rationale that on those state elections will be going on, but the WAEC is not right WAEC. It's very precise. It's not right. Let the government reconsider their position or their policy and allow the children to participate in their exam. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm sure most of us are aware that the House of Reps yesterday has petitioned the executive to do the same. So we're not in this alone. There are other people that are seriously concerned. Now, at this stage, I think the time is far. In fact, we've spent past our time, but we need to treat the others and allow the audience with their general question. This one, maybe we might even, I don't know, we might end with then allow the audience. This one is number 9 and deals with the judiciary and democracy, the judiciary democracy. Is the credibility of elections in Nigeria at stake? Following the 2019 general election, INEC has so far withdrawn 64 certificates of return and reissued them to individuals declared winners by the courts of law. Election malpractices which take place before, during, and after elections have given credit to a large majority of cases brought before the law court seeking electoral reparation. Professor Fatima Lawal, the first question is INEC the problem of this situation where courts have to decide of those who fight for opposition? And in answering that, I want you to take into consideration that does INEC exhibit the inability to secure ballot boxes and tally votes in a timely fashion? Are the problems? Professor Lawal, please.
Excuse me, please, can you ask the question one more time?
Okay, the question is INEC the problem where the commission exhibits the inability to secure ballot boxes and tally votes in a timely fashion? Is this the problem of INEC? Why why the matters, the elections always go to court rather than INEC playing its part why it was established? We seem to be having technical glitches. We can come back to you, Professor.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Well, I would like to say that both INEC and of them are guilty of the offense. But in most cases, if the INEC is not doing the right thing, our judiciary should be able to come to the of the masses.
Yes.
In a situation where we have problems, maybe as a result of corruption or as a result of inadequacies from the INEC, supposed to be the common man. And if the judiciary itself is playing with all manners of using unethical tactics, using the electrical tactics, then there is no way forward. For there to be forward, if there are issues with the INEC, our judiciary is supposed to solve the problem. But it is unfortunate that the Nigerian judiciary is in a terrible mess and in disarray. It is only the rich that get their justice where possible. Most people who do not have what it takes or the cost of the litigation will not be able to get the justice. If we have a problem with INEC as a result of partisan politics or as a result of bribery or other issues, then the judiciary should be able to come up.
It's very fast.
Thank you very much, Professor, for that. I think this question will go to all participants, and then we'll allow for questions from the audience. It will be the last for the second time.
Be fast, oh.
Prince Bolade, Olukoku, and Barrister ABANG will be on next after Bolade, and we have Professor Salihu in that order. First of all, Prince Bolade, for 2 minutes, what is your take on judiciary and democracy? Especially with this question, let me ask this question. Does the current trend potentially encourage politicians to forego the polls and attempt to win elections by influencing the judiciary, employing unethical tactics? If you want, I can repeat the question.
Yeah. Mr. Adesegun.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I get the question.
Okay.
Well, I'm a bit afraid of talking about our learned fellows. Because in all honesty,
the learned fellows get their own question too. Don't worry.
Yeah, in all honesty, they are actually part of the problem. In all honesty,
yes.
I was talking to my my lawyers regards the property. I think about about 2 weeks ago. He started shouting. I just look at him. I said, "Do I look like an illiterate to you?" He was screaming, and he went into his room, and the secretary was trying to come in between me and him. They say, "Sir, you cannot go in." I said, "When you are collecting money from me, I can come in."
You could go in.
Get off my back. So you see, in all honesty, they are part of the problem. Because let's take election for example. Guy went to court, he's qualified, he won outright, we know he won, and then eventually you came up with one useless law from one way and say because the assistant. Because the assistant did something, then because of that he cannot rule. I just don't understand. Then they made it when he even went for appeal, you now you say he must pay 10 million again. So you see, judiciary, they are the major problem. They are one of the major problems until we can all go back to the drawing board and say, okay, this is the law. You see, most of our laws in Nigeria, it's just like most of the things we do is just copy and paste. Like I was reading one insurance policy, they were writing in the insurance policy that it doesn't cover skying. Do we have snow in Nigeria to start with? That it does not cover skying. So they must have just copied it from one insurance company abroad, then paste it Let's make our own law.
Tailored
That is
to our own.
applicable to us. Yes, our own law.
Thank you,
something
sir.
that is Nigerian. Then I would like the other question about the children returning to school. I think that is an unfair criticism because the election will take place in one day, and the other one will keep. It is an unfair criticism on the part of the noble laureate.
You mean Dr. Gidado?
No, that's I think Professor Wale Shika is the one that they say made the statement.
Oh, you mean that his statement is unfair?
Yeah, that the talking about the children resuming. I say it's an unfair criticism. Election will take place in a day. There are a whole lot of extraneous variables that are into play that he's not putting into consideration there. Election is going to take place in just 2 states. We are talking about the whole nation. There are a whole lot of differences. And this is Nigeria that the healthcare system is not even.
We'll leave that to another time because it's a highly. We'll come to the audience. When the audience asks these questions, it might come up. I think Barrister ABANG, you're next.
Yes, thank you very much. This point is very painful to me that I have just 3 minutes to talk on it. I can talk for it for 30 minutes. However, let me say very clearly, the problem of the electoral system now today that has turned the election to court giving and the judicial agreement is called by 1, INEC, number 2, the National Assembly, and number 3, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, why do I say so? If you have a problem, you must tackle that problem. The current political situation in Nigeria is very frustrating. And this is the same Nigeria that conducted election on the 12th of June, 1993, that the whole world applauded. 12 elections. And now, what do you have today? INEC, I am saying that for INEC to conduct an election where 64 certificates are reissued, the chairman of INEC ought to have resigned his appointment. He ought to have resigned his appointment because INEC has become a disgrace to itself. Now, look at, now I come to the National Assembly because of time. I say National Assembly, okay, you were inaugurated in June 2019, and we are here before we even went on COVID-19. What have they done concerning the Electoral Amended Act, which was not passed? So the National Assembly also failed. Then finally, because I was saying 3 of them, my main problem lies with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And why do I say so? We have a president that contested 3 elections in 2003, 2007, and 2011. All of them he lost, and all of them he cried out against rigging and manipulation. Now, one would have expected a president who went through a whole 3 consecutive rigging election in election malpractices to leave a credible election legacy for Nigeria. Now, the National Assembly, the 8th National Assembly came out, look at all these problems in Nigeria, and now came with the amended Electoral Act to take care of most of these problems. And what did we have? The president, after dilly-dallying, running around in circles, finally refused to sign the Electoral Act. What did he say? That is too close to the election. He does not want it to be. Now, as God will have it, God bless Nigeria. God bless the Constitution of Nigeria, although it's faulty, but he is no longer authorized to contest election again. Can he not now, in all sincerity, say, let me now look into that amended Electoral Act. Look at it, toast it again, and then do it. So that's where we are. What are we looking for now? Today, We are waiting for buying of votes and a ballot snatching in September in Edo State. We are waiting for buying of vote and ballot box snatching in Ondo State in October. How bad? This is very, very unfortunate. So what I'm saying in essence is that the government, the president himself, should look into this amendment and then do it. Like my political brother there said.
Thank you,
You
sir.
are the one who took, please, just 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds, please. You are the one who took your problem to the courts. You took your problem to the court. And the problem, the calling of the court is to look at your own law, look at the constitution, look at the constitution of your party, and interpret and the laws and electoral act. So the National Assembly and the parties are responsible. It is not the judiciary. The judiciary only interpret what you brought before them. And that's what has been going on. So please, let me just finally use this opportunity and appeal to all Nigerians to please appeal to the president. We no longer want election rigging in Nigeria. We no longer want ballot box snatching. We want a good amended electoral act that will look into most of these things in order to solve this problem in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very, very well spoken. Can we have Professor Abdul Salihu? And then distinguished Mr. Jimmy Agbaje be getting ready as well as we round up. Professor Salihu. Okay, is Mr. Hope AKWARANDU available? I will wait on Professor Salihu. Mr. Hope AKWARANDU. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr.
This is Mr. Hope AKWARANDU.
Yes, can you quickly tell us?
Yeah, it seems there's a kind of a breakup in the transmission.
Yes, I noticed as well.
Yeah. Okay, can I have the question?
The question is, does INEC require the executive to grant it logistical, financial, and independence?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Please, say it again.
The question is the judiciary and democracy. Is INEC the problem? Is INEC, does it require the executive, that is the presidency, to grant it logistical and financial support, and even including independence, to be able to carry out its duties when it comes to voting?
Okay. Thank you for the question. Though because of the transmission, I could not hear all, but I still can understand what you mean. There is nothing like independent on the INEC. If I am to say, they should remove the I and use NEC, or they use ENEC. ENEC means Executive National Electoral Council. Executive means the presidency. Let me use it that way. Because in Nigeria today, with what we see, there is no independence in the INEC. Okay? So,
you got 1 minute, sir.
Okay, so now, it's not about funding. It's not about funding. It's not about the judiciary. But the problem we have is the executive, because executive has the power. There is nothing like democracy in Nigeria, like one of the discussants has said earlier. Okay, so the issue with Nigerian democracy is that executive carries it all. Executive is in charge. Executive is in charge of the electoral. Is in charge of INEC. They are in charge of the judiciary, and at the same time in charge of the executive.
Okay,
So,
your point taken. Because of the sake of time, your point is taken. The final person, our distinguished Mr. Jimmy Agbaje, and then we have the audience. By the way.
Thank you very much. Well, just very
2 minutes.
quickly. Yeah, very quickly. You see, INEC is a typical Nigerian institution and cannot be different. It's people by Nigerians, so we cannot expect everybody else to be going one way and INEC to be different. So for me, the problem is not that of INEC alone, it's everybody. You find that INEC has problems like a typical Nigerian institution. The political class has its own problems. When you are the majority in the National Assembly, you don't want to pass a law that is not going to allow you to use your influence. Ditto the executive, the judiciary, the police, you know, so it's a Nigerian problem. We're all what's the word? We're all
in this
yes,
jamboree.
Yes, and we're just typically Nigerian. That's all.
Yes. Thank you, sir. I will not omit Dr. Gidado. Apologies for the whole audience. Just one more person, Dr. Gidado. What's your take on this particular issue with the judiciary and democracy? You'll be the final one.
Thank you, Moderator. I think that whatever the judiciary does is a reflection of institutional crisis. Like Mr. Jimmy Agbaje said.
Yes.
There is no way you can expect the INEC to be different from other state institutions. And once you have the corruption of the states, it will be difficult for institutions to function. And that is essentially why government is anchored on the strength of personalities or political actors and not on the basis of institutions. So it's not just about the incumbent president. Even the former presidents, they have used institutions of the state for narrow parochial interest. We cannot expect INEC to be different. That's just my own summary on this.
That is true. I understand. Thank you all participants for a great afternoon in discussing democracy and politics and the future of Nigeria. At this time, we welcome questions from the audience, and particularly that gentleman from Spain. I hope he's available, the gentleman from Spain who said he had a question.
Yes, I'm very much available.
Oh, good. I'm glad. We await your question now.
Good evening once again, sir.
Good evening.
Okay, I think someone's earphone or Bluetooth or whatever the gadget the person is using is not really yes, and it's really not fair in this kind of gathering. So everyone, I think I suggest everyone should visit or restart whatever gadget we are using. So let me just go straight to the point because I can see that the time is very much limited.
It's running out, yes.
Let me just go straight to my own point. I can easily tell you I have lived in Europe since 2008.
Okay.
I can easily tell you from the beginning to the end of Nigeria as a nation, and not only Nigeria as a country, but I can tell you that the 98% of African nation, the system of governance has been porous for the number of years. So if we, let me say we, because we are talking about our benefit, our good, our life and properties, is all about us, not somebody. Now, the system of the government is total porous, and I can tell Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
You can
Okay,
hear.
okay. Now, let me just go straight to the point because of time. You see, Nigerian system of governance is completely porous, if we should tell ourselves the truth.
Yes, we're listening.
As a security expert who was in security job for a number of years before coming to Europe, I can tell you that there is nothing impossible. There is nothing absolutely impossible for us as a nation not to achieve when we are talking about the democracy.
I believe you too. I believe you.
Good. Now, the problem there is the implementation of what we have believed in and the implementation of what we have seen. Because you cannot tell me, like my governor of Abia State, the governor EKPAHA, who has been traveling worldwide, that he doesn't know the need and the benefit in driving on a very good, well-tarred road. It's impossible. Now, that is, by the way, let me say, we have lost it completely. So what somebody said that we have to go back to drawing board, which it seems to be impossible because there is no agreement. It is when there is an agreement, the Bible even said it, that it is only when, if the two can agree, they can work together.
But sir, can I just say that one of the reasons why we want to be in agreement is exactly what we're doing here.
Exactly, that's where I'm coming.
We're not folding our arms and say, well,
exactly,
Nigeria.
Exactly, because we cannot fold our arms.
Exactly.
Now, the solution is what we are talking about.
Yes, the solution.
If we are emulating the people who have given us the democracy as they claim, because they gave us the democracy while they are sitting rightfully on the democracy. Let me give you the instance, the main point Africans are being.
You have one point because there'll be other people, 1 minute, because there'll be other people in the audience as well.
Exactly. Any day, the white, the Westerners, where I'm living today, any day they allowed Africans to be choosing their own presidents by themselves at a very good age, whereby if you are corrupt today and you are a president at the age of 40, 45, 50, 60, and you know that embezzlement can lead you to a state of 40, 20 years imprisonment, you will not like to go into that criminality. But in a situation whereby you are seeing a very, yes, nobody knows when one will die. Nobody knows if the young or the old will die. But if we say, let's die accordingly, I think it should start from the elders, the old.
Thank you.
Now, how can you give an 80 years old man, 90 years old man a present if the French can produce 35 to 40 years old president?
I think your point is taken, sir. We have to give room for other people in the audience.
It's no problem. Whenever there will be time for more elaborations, I will come.
Yes, we're going to have another session next month. So
no problem. No problem.
Hopefully you'll be participating. Is there any other person in the audience? Time flies. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
My name is Michael. I'm calling from Malaysia. Please,
okay.
mine is observation for the discussants.
Yeah.
Let us start with our self-discipline. Many of the discussants today, they didn't meet up the time they're supposed to be around. Many of them came like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 1 hour, even late. And they still allow them to come in and interrupt the sections. At least it's not right. If you cannot be able to discipline ourselves at this stage, what are we talking about? Politicians. So I'm suggesting that in subsequent time, if a discussant, it couldn't be able to be 10 minutes to the time, please don't connect that person again. Let us start disciplining ourselves. By that, we'll be able to make a better Nigeria. Secondly, in systems, is it like your internet, because Nigeria is on and off. Please, I advise that the host look at a better power to hold this program so that we'll not have problems of power on this. Affecting a discussion. Then lastly, I really appreciate you people for a good job. Thank you.
May I just say, commend you for your criticisms. We are not above mistakes, and this is the first, the inaugural session of this type. So, of course, there will be, it won't be bulletproof. So, consequently, we welcome criticisms and we'll implore to make amends next time. So, thank you very much for that. Those suggestions. Anybody else? Questions, matters arising that are not clear regarding what has been said? And some of these questions, they'll be answered by...
Hello, can I say something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can I say something?
Yes, go on, sir. Go on.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
You've got precisely 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, no problem. My name is Godfatherism. Actually, I want to thank you for the time and the availability, to interact and also learn or understand some of the problems we are facing. My own is a quick one concerning the politicians, the electorate, and the citizenry of Nigeria. You see, the problem we are facing, like the discussants have put across, is not only what the politicians do or the judiciary do, but we, the electorate, we are also a problem. And it is important to what somebody has said, that hunger, because in voting and in bringing in these politicians, to resist certain things, if we don't give them a vote. But if you go to even the village where we call what, if you see even the military movement we are talking about, trying to protect, there are also scams. They deceive these politicians, collect money from many of them. And at the end of the day, they won't even vote them. So sometimes when those guys eventually make it, they become very, deceptive too. So these are the, so I call on you people to use your good organization, to reach out to our people to learn how to vote and be sincere in their vote. And if somebody bringing someone to impose on them, they should reject, because Godfatherism can be rejected. And that's the only way we can move forward. Once the politician knows that the power is in the hand of the people, based on the definition of democracy, they will also learn how to behave. So that is one major thing I have seen here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I would like to say something.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, my contribution is, I totally agree with most of the discussants, and most especially my learned friend, that is Barrister ABANG.
Yes.
On the issue of everybody saying judiciary is the problem. I'm a practicing lawyer. I go to court every day, and I wonder why people keep blaming we lawyers for everything. The truth is that for example, the National Assembly, the president, they are the real people in issue, because we lawyers are only meant to argue the law. We cannot bring up new laws. And when you look at the issue of Bayelsa, as far as I'm concerned, the deputy governor was disqualified, and you said, oh, the governor, in as much, I'm not surprised they are calling Imo State Supreme Court governor, that they are bringing new people on board. So my own
take is that the whole issue lies in our hands, both the leadership and the followership. And if we do not ensure that proper laws are in place, then if proper laws are not in place, then we are only laboring in vain. And again, I want to quickly make this issue. For example, it is so embarrassing that the government can sanction the WAEC people from not writing WAEC, but they can allow the election in Edo State and Ondo State to proceed. So I will say, okay, what is it that is too big that they cannot allow this to go on? So in as much as we can all say what's on our mind, my own take is that both the leadership and the followership, they are an issue. And that's my own contribution.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Honorable Miagbaje, can you shed light on what the gentleman just said regarding, because there seems to be disagreement. There seems to be disagreement on the exam being nationwide, while we have only 2 states that are going to carry out elections in one day. So some are arguing that it's not a basis of comparison. What is your take on the final thoughts on that? Honorable Jimmy Agbaje.
He needs to unmute.
You can call me biased because I'm a member of the health team. But I want to agree more with Professor Gidado, I think it was, that it's not that straightforward. And I'm being very honest. The fallout of the pandemic may be too much to manage. I know that a lot of people do not believe that it is as bad as it is, but I want you to believe that it is bad. And when we say it's bad, it is bad. And the question is that, you know, it is like an enemy comes to attack you. And you see it's a very powerful enemy. What you do first is to run inside to your house to decide how you want to survive. Yeah. And that's still where we are, that we don't know yet the effect of those children. And we're not the only ones affected. Look at all the other countries. Israel sent them to school, withdrew them again. And so in many of the countries that have tried to send those children to school, many of them have had to go back. You know, and I think that's the reality. That's why I said it's not that easy a decision to take when you cannot back up the fallout.
Right. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I want to quickly say something. I'm sorry. I want to quickly say something.
We are running out of time. What I was going to say was that given the conclusion or inconclusive nature of this topic, in August, the next month, we're going to have another session, and this topic, basically, what this has done to us is to go like an assignment. We're going to have an assignment. We're going to go back to the drawing board, look at it. By then, maybe government will have a decision on the WAEC exams. The elections won't take place in October, if I'm correct. I think we need to go home and do our more research and come. Because there's pros and cons on this topic. Some of us are against, some of us are for. And I think Dr. Gidado and Mr. Jimmy Agbaje have their valid points. It's not that straightforward indeed. It's after you've said it that I began to analyze it as well. It's not that straightforward, but I think it still can be done. But we don't have the time now to discuss that. So I think it should be an assignment for us to, delve into these things so that the next time we meet in August, it will come up as even question number 1. And we'll all have our say, as it were. So I'll hand you over to the host for the vote of thanks, and because we have to conclude by 5 o'clock, it's almost 5. But before then, I want to say a big thank you to every one of you who have participated. It's been a pleasure to meet you and to hear your views, and also the audience as well. Next to you, host.
It's been a great first time in history of Nigeria events, things like this, and we thank everybody. We really thank everybody. It's just the beginning. They say
Yes.
a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. We started with a step now, and I'm sure, irrespective of our shortcomings, whatever thing you have seen, the next one is going to be August, third Wednesday of August. No, sorry. Yeah, third Wednesday of August. That's on the 19th. The same time. We will send you the details. Then again, if you want to join our WhatsApp group, POLMOT, Politics and Democracy, I think I posted it here on the chat, frame on the right-hand side of your screen. So I would like to thank everybody. I thank Dr. Yomi Gidado, Professor Salihu, Prince Bolade. Actually, I want to add, normally you are not really, you are a politician and not a politician. I'm talking of Mr. Jimmy Agbadi. A typical politician will have taken about 20 or 50 chieftaincy titles. So we say chief this, chief that. You understand? So we thank you so much. We thank you, Professor Fatima Lawal. It's a great pleasure. Welcome to Nigeria. Welcome back to Nigeria. I don't know when you are going back again. Don't worry about our light issues. Something we are used to. Of course, some people say don't get used to it, but then unless you rule. So when any of you get into a position of authority, you know what to do. That's the essence of business. We give you a great thanks. Thanks to Mr. Hope AKWARANDU and our learned colleagues. I can't say learned colleague because I'm not a lawyer. So I will say Barrister ABANG. It's a great pleasure having you around. And it's been, in fact, for all of you to stay on and the audience too, it's been good. The next one will send details from the next 2 weeks so that you will know. And then, of course, it's not the same set of participants. Not all of you will be participants, but then you can be an audience. Majority, I mean, we are looking for a way to invite a senator. Let everybody have different views, you know. Mr. Jimmy Agbaje was invited because of the fact that he's been in the system. He knows the pros and cons. And then the same thing with Dr. Yomi Gidado, who has been in the assembly before. There are 1 or 2 people that didn't come. Mr. Pantaku, you know, he said he's having a problem with the connection. Over there, he's in the National Assembly now, things like that. But I think by next time, the things will improve. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you. And there is nothing we can give you. But meanwhile, we will send you, if you don't have, okay, the participants, the discussants, yes, we have your details. We'll send you certificate of participation within the next 1 week for participating in this. It's something great. It's something you should have. It's a certificate that you should frame. It's good. Thank you so much. And if you have to rate ourselves, if I have to rate you, of course, I won't rate you 100%. I won't rate 90. I won't rate maybe around 70. It's still good, you know. And like somebody complained in Malaysia, please, the next one, let's be prompt in attending, you know. Of course, if you want to apply the draconian rule where we say immediately you don't come by 10, we will block you off. Of course, that's the only way the country can move forward anyway. Let's look at it like that. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Nice meeting you all. Nice having you around, and we'll meet next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meet.
Thank you.